Good afternoon, my name is Phil Reed, and so I'm doing the Space Guard. And so if I was to say umbrella, you're probably thinking the same thing. It protects you from a little bit of the elements. If I was to say a tent or canopy, probably thinking maybe a little more protection from the elements. But what if you wanted something that was completely enclosed and complete protection? That's why I've created this new product that is completely enclosed, and it is running on, it's portable, and it runs on solar power and has a garage door opener. So this product will has many applications, and just one of them I'm going to discuss with you today. Again, it's called the Space Guard.
Looks like Cambridge.
Yeah.
So the Space Guard is not only going to clean up the streets, but it's also going to help bring safety back to the community. At the same time, it's going to help generate a revenue for the city itself. So how many of you have actually been in the city during or after a snowstorm? I think we'll probably all agree that there's a lot of issues that come up in regards to snow in the city. Let's just talk about digging out your car alone. Now you're adding extra stress, wasted time, injuries, medical bills, being late for work, maybe even missing work. Sorry. So let's talk about defending your parking space. Now, people are taking household items out, and basically it's junk that they're putting in the streets and littering the streets with what they call spot savers. And what happens if someone moves your spot saver? Now is an increase in crime and violence, as you can see here and probably have seen on the news. Now there's an increase in 911 responses, which is another risk to the community. At the same time, there's more snow in the street, which makes it harder for the snow plows to get by with the cars that are only half pulled into their parking space. So the city now has to pay for snowplow collisions on top of the cleanup budget. With all of these problems, I see a huge opportunity. Our target market is the urban areas, which make up 81% of America. There's 254 million passenger vehicles that are registered in the United States, which is the most in the world. And only 8% of our American households do not own a vehicle. I interviewed 100 people and I surveyed 100 people and interviewed 6 police officers, and the survey revealed that 77% felt there was an actual need to buy this product. The officers all agreed that it would help decrease the crime and also reduce the amount of hit and runs and obstructions in the street. Our target goal is to start selling to cities and to the communities within. The only real competitor is one company, and they are targeted towards the rural areas, which is only 19% of America. The solution is the Space Guard. It's a see-through, battery-operated, portable enclosure that has solar panels to heat the roof and a remote control. It's 50 pounds and has a collapsible, it collapses down so you can fold it up and put it into a carrying case that fits into the trunk of your car. So there's many more opportunities for the Space Guard. This is just one of the applications. Today I'm seeking $10,000 to get to the next step, which would be to hire engineers to help build it and find the right materials, and to build a prototype and start testing. In the future,
Time.
okay.
Okay.
How long, for the hiring of 2 engineers, the prototype testing, et cetera, how long do you see that step lasting?
Well-
Consideration of that time period, that $10,000.
Sure.
I'm just trying to, what's the timeline on
Sure, absolutely. So I would predict about 3 months to build it and start testing to have a proof of concept.
My question is, I deal with a lot of solar canopies and what have you.
Sure.
Being as an example, let's say we're in Cambridge.
Yep.
Cambridge has very specific laws, okay, of building, permitting, and so on and so forth. With these canopies, as an example, when I do a solar carport,
Mhm.
I put many up throughout the state of Massachusetts,
Sure.
2 of my biggest problems is I have to come up with 120 mile an hour hurricane load.
Mhm.
Right, so I'm bringing this up to you, so you know, because you're gonna end up having to go through this. And the other thing is having a 45 pounds per square foot snow load.
Mhm.
So the beams all get really large, the foundations get all really large, so keep that in your design,
Sure.
that you're gonna have to deal with those wind and snow loads.
Mhm.
On, now, has it been accomplished? Yes, because they sell a lot of the carports in the Northeast, so
Sure.
you have to look at that and see what patents are.
Sure. I think one of the things that that did come up in my research, and one of the things that I had thought of, obviously I'm trying to find engineers, is to sell separately, to have packs or pouches that you can add on to add weight to each of the corners, so it doesn't blow in the wind.
Right.
And then also inside, there's tie-offs, one in each corner that can go tie off to your bumper in case of the wind.
I read all your material, and one of the questions I have that I know you probably don't have the answer to, because you said you didn't know the materials it was going to be made from, right? But you of course talked about this blow-away factor, right?
Yeah, sure.
But I think another huge thing is the longevity of the material you're going to use, because it's also subject to environmental degradation. And I think that's materials that will be UV stable, things like that. You know, things like that drive the price up, and you've got to keep that
Sure.
in mind. But you can't have things, you can't construct out of some type of a, let's say it's a plastic or whatever, some type of a plastic polymer material and have degradation, so, you know.
I think just good point, and I think one of the things that I thought of with that, obviously there's a lot of issues with material being out in the streets, and especially with this last winter. Well, I think one of the things that would help that is that with the melting, it melts because it's a 6.5 feet in the top, in the front, on the street side, and then on the sidewalk side, there's a foot in between the sidewalk.
You did say that.
Right, so it would melt off, and I think most of the elements would be from the top and going off to one side. So I think that would help. I don't know if that completely solves the issue, but
It's a problem, like when we do the canopies, we have to be careful. We're not allowed to do single canopies because snow coming off and falling on people. So you gotta be careful that sidewalk side and street side. Do not count on the solar to melt.
well, there's actually, I'm glad you brought that
You're gonna
up.
have to find something else, because we have solar, and when you get beyond a foot of snow, what have you, it takes a long time for the radiation, what have you, to get that to melt those panels, so just keep that.
And with that being said, there's, on the 4 posts, I do have a battery in each of the 4 posts, as obviously if it's snowing out, there's probably not gonna get a lot of solar energy, so
Correct.
there's an actual backup.
Backup battery, so you got a hybrid system.
Exactly.
Is there any intention to be using this in the summertime, when, you know?
Sure.
There is, okay.
So here's some of the
There's your
other,
UV degradation problem, you know, yeah.
so this is just a few more of the opportunities. Like you said, it can be used in many, globally, all year round. And in the summertime, I've actually, in my market research, have talked to many people, and I actually have 2 owners for 2 different businesses. One's a catering company, and he said he would buy at least a few of them because all summer long he's outside and he's fighting bugs and the wind and everything else. I have a construction company who's the owner, and he said he would buy a couple just so he could still use the power saws outside when it rains or if it's windy and whatnot. So there are a lot of different potentials and applications for this.
Okay, I just want to comment on, I have a constructive criticism.
Sure.
I did read all the material, so I came in here knowing what you were going to talk about. However, in the beginning of your presentation, I think you ought to get your picture of your space guard right out there. Because we're led a long time down a road,
Sure.
and if you didn't read this, I'm sitting here saying, what's he talking about?
Sure.
You know, so
I think the nerds
get
got
your
the best
photo.
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
you know, the
Yeah,
thing is, visual is great. So if someone, you know, we all sometimes people are better at audio listening. You know, the audio, the listening. I know I'm a visual. You're going to show me, I've got it right away.
Sure,
You know,
absolutely.
so that's a comment.
To add on that, because I
That
didn't,
helps.
it's not your first rodeo, right? This is my first, I skimmed this
Same
stuff.
here.
I didn't read it to the great detail that you did.
Mhm.
So I was somewhat lost. You know, I remembered it, but I was still looking for a picture of it, so I couldn't get it straight. And on that line, you know this is your product, right? This is your baby,
Absolutely.
you got it.
It is, yeah.
You don't need notes, just.
I know,
Look at your screen, just if you,
Yeah.
if you get stuck, because I'm not an expert at presenting, I'm far from it, but you know it.
Yeah.
Just trust yourself at the end of the day, because this is yours, throw the paper away, use your own
Yeah.
PowerPoints, they're up there, they'll remind you, just get
Okay.
confidence, and you'll be fine, you're absolutely fine. The thing that makes you appear more nervous is looking at your
It
paper.
was
You
actually
gotta find
making me
who you
worse.
are.
Yeah,
Just throw them
exactly.
away, get rid of
Okay.
them, keep doing what you do well, you know your product and keep saying it.
I do.
I'm not sure about the math though, on my point. I'm not sure
No.
about the engineers you're gonna get for $1,000 a month. I'd
Oh,
love
yeah,
to find
I
them.
saw that too, and I went,
And
uh-oh.
that's just the only, you know, that's the math,
Well-
that's fine, because you're still in the preliminary stages, getting the money to figure it out, that's fine, but when you start, again, credibility, you're pitching something, people are gonna harp on the numbers, you'll be amazed, there's no leverage in that. When you tell somebody you're gonna get it done for X, they expect it, they might want improvement on that, so just be leery of that, be mindful, if you're gonna guess high.
I think part of what, and that's a very good point, thank you. I think the one thing that I had in the back of my mind is if I can find, which I've tried to do, I actually had a couple of engineers and they skipped the first 2 meetings that we all agreed on, so I said I can't work with someone who isn't as passionate as I am about this. So I found a couple more engineers and they're actually presented before I just walked in here, so they're already a part of a group. So I've been talking to multiple professors and whatnot, but I think with that point that if I can find a student that's an engineer, I think that they might do it for $1,000.
The program will help you too, from my understanding. You know,
That's what I'm
they'll
hoping
help-
to,
Yeah,
yeah.
so they'll help you out too, so just, you know.
Absolutely.
And if it's gonna be engineering students, you might wanna make that distinction.
That's fair. That's fair.
The other thing is, whenever you see 1 minute, since we're talking a little bit about presentation, don't mind skipping.
Okay.
Going to your main last slides, because we didn't say that, get to that end.
Okay. Yeah,
That
that's,
is more important to get to that closer.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Good job by yourself.
I think I,
Excellent
Yeah.
job,
That's-
excellent
yeah.
job, you're all
Thank
by
you.
yourself.
Said it
Yeah.
very well.
I think
But you're passionate about with 1 minute,
Right.
yeah. And that's good. Passion will take you far.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. one
Believe in
thing.
yourself and believe in it.
I think like you said, this is my first time presenting, so I got obviously the best of me, but
Just don't worry about it.
You're doing great.
thank you.
Doing
No
great.
pressure. You look
You
like you're
You
Yeah,
already
I-
broke your
I guess
leg.
I wouldn't wanna go up there.
Yeah,
To
it's-
talk about my company, I have a hard time just telling people what I do, so I get it.
Well, like you said, I know all the stats, I know everything about this, and I don't know what it was, I just kept focusing on this because of the nerves,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to, you know, if you can't find engineers there, the people that are building, if you go back to those pitches of the competitive products, reach out to them. You'll be
Okay.
surprised that they'll give you money, they'll have their engineers work with you. Of course, they're gonna be looking to see if there's any
Take your
technology,
Take your
but then you'll have to deal with
Yeah.
UMass on that issue, but
Sure.
don't be afraid to do that.
Good point, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you
job.
guys, nice
Good
to meet you guys.